The courthouse was buzzing with the usual hum of legal proceedings, the shuffle of papers, the low murmur of lawyers and clients speaking in hushed tones, and the faint echo of footsteps in the hallways. Today was like any other, or so it seemed at first. But one case, tucked away in a corner of the courtroom, would soon change everything. As Officer Briggs and Officer Daniels walked into the courtroom, a homeless man shackled at their side. The air seemed to shift. The man, clad in a tattered army jacket and worn-out boots, shuffled in with a limp. His face was gaunt, his eyes hollow from years of hardship. His name was Elijah Carter, a once proud veteran who had served in the Army during the Gulf War. His name had been forgotten by many, erased by the streets, but today it was about to resurface. The charges against Elijah were minor: petty theft and trespassing. He had been caught rummaging through a garbage bin outside a downtown convenience store. To most, it seemed like just another instance of a homeless man causing trouble. But to those who knew the deeper story, it was a tragedy long in the making. Elijah had fought in the war, but like so many others, he returned to a country that didn't understand the scars of battle. The post-traumatic stress, the inability to find work, and the slow unraveling of his life had led him to the streets. He had no family left, no friends, just the fractured memories of a service, which over the years had been drowned out by addiction and despair. As the judge, Judge Anderson, called the case to order, the courtroom went silent. The defense attorney, a young woman named Sarah Monroe, stood up, her brow furrowed in concentration. The prosecutor, a middle-aged man named Richard Fields, was already ready to pounce on the minor charges. Elijah was seated in the defendant's chair, his hands trembling slightly. He had been through courtrooms before, but this one felt different. His heart raced as the proceedings began. For the first time in a long while, he felt a flicker of hope that somehow someone would see him for more than just a man lost in the system. Judge Anderson, a stern and no-nonsense figure, glanced down at the file in front of him. The room was quiet, every eye on the judge. Elijah Carter, he called, his voice clear and firm. The moment the judge spoke his name, a strange thing happened. At first, no one noticed, but then, slowly, one by one, the people in the courtroom began to rise to their feet. The officers, the lawyers, even the bailiff, they all stood up. The sound of shuffling shoes and chairs scraping against the floor echoed in the room. Elijah blinked, unsure of what was happening. He looked around, confused. Had he done something wrong? Was this some kind of punishment? But as his gaze met the judge's eyes, he saw something different. Respect, reverence. Judge Anderson took a deep breath before speaking again. Elijah Carter, it's been a long time since I've seen someone of your caliber here, he said, his voice calm but filled with an unmistakable weight. You served your country with honor, and you deserve better than this. Elijah's heart skipped a beat. He had served in the Army years ago, but never had anyone spoken to him like this. It had been so long since he felt seen, as if the world had passed him by and forgotten the man he once was. He swallowed hard, the words of the judge sinking in. The courtroom was silent, except for the occasional cough and the sound of breathing. The entire room seemed to be holding its breath, waiting for the next move. And then Judge Anderson looked at the prosecutor, Richard Fields, who was still standing, his mouth slightly agape. You, Judge Anderson began, his eyes narrowing. Do you understand the significance of the name Elijah Carter? Do you understand what this man has given to this country and what he has lost? His voice was calm but firm, as if daring Fields to respond in any way other than with humility. The prosecutor shifted uncomfortably. Your Honor, No, the judge interrupted. You don't get to dismiss this man as a mere criminal. He may have made mistakes, yes, but the circumstances surrounding his life are not to be overlooked. He turned back to Elijah, who was now visibly shaking. You are not just a homeless man. You are not just a statistic. You are a veteran, a son, a brother, and you will be treated with the dignity you deserve. Elijah's eyes welled up with tears, the weight of the moment sinking deep into his chest. For the first time in years, he felt the warmth of humanity reaching out to him. It was as if the world, for a brief moment, had acknowledged his existence. The room was still. No one moved. The officers, the lawyers, the bailiff, they all stood in reverence to the name that had once been lost in the shuffle of society's neglect. Judge Anderson turned his gaze back to the courtroom. This trial will be postponed. We will investigate Elijah Carter's circumstances more thoroughly, and we will do what we can to provide him with the care and support he needs. This court will not be a place for further humiliation. A murmur rippled through the courtroom. The tension that had hung heavy in the air seemed to lift, replaced by a sense of justice that had been so long absent. Elijah, for the first time in many years, felt hope stirring in his chest. As the courtroom began to empty, the officers led Elijah back toward the holding area, but there was something different in the air. No one looked down at him. No one sneered. Instead, there were glances of understanding, of silent respect for a man who had been forgotten, but not anymore. Elijah had no idea what the future held, but in that moment, he realized that he wasn't invisible. His name, once just a whisper in the winds of forgotten veterans, had just been acknowledged, and that he knew was the beginning of something much bigger than a courtroom trial. It was the beginning of his own redemption. For more inspiring stories that will touch your heart, stay tuned to our channel Expect Stories.